For thousands of years, there's been one book that has just completely shaped cultures, inspired incredible art, and transformed countless lives. But what does the Bible actually teach? Beyond all that influence. That's what we're going to dive into right now. The core ideas, the big concepts right inside its pages.
All right, so the first thing we really need to get our heads around is that the Bible, it's not a single book. Not at all. Think of it more like a library, right? A huge collection of different texts put together over a really, really long time. And understanding that structure is, well, it's the key to unlocking its message.
And when I say a library, I mean it's got 66 separate books inside. These are split into two big sections you've probably heard of. The Old Testament, that's got 39 books, and the New Testament, which has the other 27.
But here's what's just incredible. The scale of it all. These 66 books were written over about 1,500 years. Think about that. And not by one person, but by over 40 different authors. We're talking kings, fishermen, prophets, scholars, you name it. And that diversity really shows up in the writing too. You get everything from history and poetry to prophecy and some really deep teachings.
So, even with all those different authors and styles, the source material says there's this one huge story that ties it all together. It's this grand narrative about God's relationship with humanity. It kind of goes like this. It starts with creation, then there's this separation, what's called the fall, and it all moves toward this incredible story of redemption and hope.
Okay, so you've got all these books, all these authors. What's the one big idea holding it all together? Well, according to the source, it all comes down to a single, powerful concept, and that is love. Let's take a look at how that actually plays out.
So, in the New Testament, there's this moment where Jesus is asked, hey, can you just summarize the entire moral vision of the Scriptures? And his answer? It's two commands, but they're totally linked. First, a vertical relationship, loving God. And second, a horizontal one, loving other people. The source really frames these two as the absolute, inseparable core of the Bible's ethics.
All right, so if love is the main message, what holds it up? How do you actually do it? The source material points us to two pillars, two things that are absolutely essential to making a life of love even possible. And those are faith and forgiveness.
Now, when the Bible talks about faith, it's not just about, nodding your head and agreeing with some ideas. It's way more active than that. It's about truly trusting in God's character and promises. The source uses this really powerful metaphor. It says faith is like a bridge, the very thing that connects us to God, stretching right over that gap of the unknown.
And that leads us right into what the source calls one of the Bible's most, radical ideas, grace. And what is grace? It's unearned forgiveness. The key thing here, the thing that's so important to get, is that you can't work for it. You can't deserve it. It's presented as a total gift, given freely out of love, not as some kind of a reward for being good.
Okay, so we've got love, right? And it's held up by faith and forgiveness. But these ideas aren't just meant to be personal, something you keep to yourself. Nope. They're meant to stretch outward, to create a vision for all of society and for the future. And that's exactly where justice and hope come into the picture.
So biblical justice, at least as our source material defines it, is just deeply tangled up with compassion. It's not simply about punishing people who do wrong. It's an active thing, a call to go out and defend the vulnerable, to care for the poor, to show mercy. It's a perfect example of how that command to love your neighbor is supposed to look in the real world.
And finally, there's this incredible sense of hope that runs through the Bible. And we're not talking about just wishful thinking here. It's presented as a solid promise. The ultimate vision is all about restoration, a future where the entire world is made new, where there's real peace, and where suffering and pain are just gone. It's kind of like the final, amazing chapter in that big story of redemption we talked about.
So, we've walked through these ancient teachings: love, faith, forgiveness, justice, hope. But you have to wonder, right? Why do these ideas, written down thousands of years ago, still hit so hard today? In our modern world, which can be pretty cynical,
Why do they still resonate?
Well, the answer, according to the source, is pretty straightforward. It's because these themes, they speak to our deepest, most timeless human needs. It doesn't really matter if you see the Bible as divine revelation or as this incredible collection of ancient wisdom. The stuff it says about love, our need for faith, the power of forgiveness, the call for justice, and that deep longing for hope, it's just as relevant now as it ever was.
So as we wrap this up, let me leave you with a question. When you look at these big ideas, love, faith, forgiveness, justice, and hope, which one of them really speaks to you? Right here, right now. It's a question that just goes to show how personal and how timeless these ancient teachings really are.